Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and he's back making another house call for the second consecutive Sports Connection. Now, we had fall break. We took a little time off, but Dr. Qualls, you're back. You're like a regular again.
Hey, Doctor loves to make house calls. Hey, don't you worry out there. If you're watching this today and you're rolling your eyes, I will be gone next week, I promise. But I do appreciate the opportunity. I look better than Tate Matthews does, and I know that he's on assignment this week again, but I am glad to be here anytime that I can.
Well, we had to call in the relief pitcher, and we've got a good one. Dr. Qualls, appreciate you being here. And I thought this was a good week for you to be here because you like gloating and talking about state titles.
Thanks.
So, no, I mean in a good way, like I do.
Okay.
I'm talking about for WCS Athletics.
That is correct.
So during fall break, what did you guys do during fall break? Here's what we did. Well, we started off with middle school. We had some cross-country state meets. What happens? Heritage girls, state champion. Woodland boys, state champion. We follow that up with the state golf tournament at the high school level. Page girls, state champion. Brentwood boys, state champion. And on the same day, Brentwood Middle volleyball wins a state title. So it was 3 in one day.
Yeah, you know, all those people at the that's been involved in the TMSAA for all these years are rolling their eyes thinking, who let Wilco in this thing? But we knew a long time ago that if we ever got an opportunity to get in this thing, that we would own it. And you know what? It means more. We should have done it a long time ago. I'm glad that you got that across the board because it is one thing to play for a county championship, but it's another thing to go out and represent your school across the state and be the best in the state, which we knew all along. It was just getting them there, and I'm glad that that opportunity is there. You look at the golf. You mentioned the golf. You know, the fall has always been predominantly strong for WCS. We look at that. We go back and the year that we won 2 straight footballs, we won 2 cross countries, we won 5 total. Where volleyball, you might as well hand us the trophy from day one. It was a given. This is pretty special because now you've really looking at the 6-12 model versus the 9-12 model, and I give you kudos for that.
Well, it's exciting, and I appreciate your involvement in it as well, Dr. Qualls. So let's jump into some state golf. Let's start with the girls' team title. I thought this was kind of cool. So Page High School last year, they were 3 strokes up going to the final day of the tournament last year. They end up finishing second. This year, they're 4 strokes down going to the last day. It goes to a playoff with Murfreesboro Central. They're both 21 over par as a team. What do? In the playoff, you send 3 players out, all 3 that represented your school. Elizabeth, McCann, Brooke Bennett, they both get a par. Gabby Diaz gets a birdie. Page High School, Coach Jamie Eichhoff, they win a state title. Got that bad taste out of their mouth from that runner-up finish last year.
Well, you think about that. You play golf. We've played golf numerous times. Think about the pressure that those young ladies went out there in extra holes, and Gabby says, I got you. I'm going to put you on my back. Watch this.
Birdie.
Now watch this. Watch this drive.
Individual side, I want to shout out some of these young ladies too. Mr. Can't really say October, but you know,
Mr. Fall.
Mr. Fall.
Let's call him Mr. Fall.
Teddy Craig,
the pundit.
Mr. May, obviously, when he was in baseball, so we've kind of adjusted a little bit. Annabelle Walton from Ravenwood, she leads the district with the +8. Brooke Bennett, who we mentioned before from Page, she was 9th with +10. Gabby Diaz +11. So that was their 2 scores that were counted there. Now on the boys' side for Brentwood. Not really surprising that they win back-to-back state titles. Once they got out of the region, Page ended up finishing second on the boys' side in the region tournament. They've won 3 of the past 4 years now. Congratulations to Coach Saunders and his crew. But get this, Dr. Qualls. I had to do a double take on this one. As a team, they finished +9. Second place Bearden was 20 strokes behind at +29. That is an absolute domination by Brentwood.
That reminds me of the conversation when they were talking about when Tiger hit that drive when he first came onto the scene, and they're like, where's your ball? He said, it's on the other side of that Walmart parking lot that you hit it up there. That is a country mile, my friend. That's not even in the same world. People have to understand that. Now, here's the interesting thing. Laird Williams, second, right? Runner-up for Page, -4. 4 under par. What won it?
-5.
And we had 6 of the top 10 places came from WCS.
Absolutely.
That's pretty phenomenal. But +9, +29. It's not even close. That is utter domination. That is popcorn city and a running clock,
Golf style.
golf style.
So I want to give a shout out to Coach Saunders and his guys, George Lascaris from Brentwood, Sam Johnson, who was +5, finished tied for 16th, Bennett Lind, +4, he tied for 10th, Jack Doyle, +3, he tied for 7th, Luke Purifoy led the team, he was even par. You mentioned Laird from Page. Those other guys that were top 10, Will Pinson, +3, he was actually tied for first with Jack Doyle from Brentwood going into the final day. He finishes 7th. And then Jack Blackburn of Independence tied 10th. So you mentioned those 6 guys representing 4 different schools in the top 10.
I'm going to have to get the intern Will to check me out on this, but Jack Doyle. Doyle's is a household name here in WCS. I believe that was some Wilco winners back in the day of the Doyles of the Brentwood. I think about that. I can't get over the +9 and 29. I mean, that's like, everybody else is on the course, and then Brentwood's over on the party hole at Live Golf Tournament with the DJ playing. I mean, that's the difference of how big a
Which is not a bad place to be,
It's
by the
not
way.
a bad place to be.
It was unbelievable. So I was telling somebody, and listen, we're great athletically across the board, but I'm not so sure we're any better in any sport than we are in golf right now.
It fits our demographic. We have a heavy golf population. As you know, we have many courses around here. A lot of the HOAs are set up around courses, so these kids get opportunities early. They get probably individual instruction earlier than a lot of people do. That helps, as you well know. But yeah, man, you think about volleyball in the past of the era of Brentwood and the domination that we've had, not just with Brentwood, but with volleyball across the board. You think about the cross country. All of them have similar, I think, aspects. You're getting exposed at an earlier age. You probably have a lot of individual styled coaching involved that helps. And then when the high school coaches get them, it's not that the high school coaches are not helping across something. You still have to manage the team. You still have to put kids in the right situations. But I think the exposure at the early age really, really helps us in those particular sports.
100% agree. Hey, let's jump into a little football, Dr. Qualls. And this seems like forever ago because we had fall break. They were off that week, which is good for our teams, I think, getting healed up, especially the teams that aren't playing region games this week. Now, we've got a few that are. Let's start off with the WCTV game of the week. And, man, I think our announcers had to have their, the extra information to talk about when the game's kind of out of hand. No disrespect to Summit, but they are battling some huge injuries. And really, I think it was wise on their part. Some of those guys that maybe were on the edge of coming back didn't come back for the Ravenwood game because it gives them a chance here the last 3 weeks to maybe make a playoff run. But it's 45-0. It was really never a game. But there was a gem involved, Dr. Qualls. Your boy, Will Hester, win number 100.
First prescription of the day. Dr. Qualls, I need win number 108, my man, the visor, because if he gets 108, you know what that means?
State title?
That is correct, and it's coming. Number 108, first prescription of the day.
I think you're right about that. I've been saying that too. I think we get 2. Page, Ravenwood. I do say, though, I want to go back to this with Page. I think that there's going to be a semifinal with the Buccaneers from Beach High School. The winner wins it all.
Does that not hit home for Coach Joins? Now,
Hey, listen, I know who signs my check. Don't get confused.
I get it, and I know that I'm sure that Crabtree watches this show religiously because you call him and text him, but I'm just telling you, them some dudes.
They are.
At defensive line, I was talking to a gentleman today, actually, whose son plays on the team, and I think there's a relief that they got the first score on, if you will. I know we're going to get to that, off their back. Now they can go play ball. Who cares? That's over. The streak's over. Streaks are meant to be broken to begin with. That was a very impressive streak to go 6 games without being scored on. But this team, man, this team is poised to win it. Lost 3 in a row. They've been there. This is the year. They're not going to become the Buffalo Bills. They're going to win this thing. I think those kids are poised to win it. And then you flip it back over to the visor. You talk about Ravenwood. You talk about the swag that they're going to have in that 6A. He's going to tell you right now, absolutely. You're going to have a lot of roadblocks. He doesn't even want to talk about this right now. Think about what they have coming down Murder's Row. And that, my friends, is the recipe and prescription number 2 of the day. Schedule tough, win often, and win at the end.
Man, you're on a roll.
It's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you talk about Page and Ravenwood having things in common. The Ravenwood defense doesn't get talked about a lot in WCS, I think because of Page. 4th shutout of the season, 3rd in a row, all against region opponents. They were up 38-0 at the half.
That's a good point. I mean, we're boat racing it. We're Popcorn City. We're putting the young cats in for win number 100. Yeah, you don't want to be disrespectful in that, but come on, man. Running clock at half is not good. We got to get things figured out. But once again, I think you're right. I think it's one of those things that we don't look at is that defense from Ravenwood, how good they are. We talk about Ames. We talk about our man Dukes of Hazzard and all the peeps. Look at what they have done. And I think he'll tell you, too, this is one of the most talented, if not the most talented team he's ever had an opportunity to coach.
Something and I think I'm going to say this right, that in the 7 games that Ravenwood has won, they've scored a defensive touchdown in 5 of them. How about that?
Survive the first 5 minutes of every game because everybody comes back down to earth after the adrenaline is wore off. That's per the visor. Number 2, special teams are something you didn't account for. Special teams are something you didn't account for. How do you produce a score? How do you produce a turnover? That is a recipe for state championship teams, and he's got it.
Maverick Chance, the quarterback, rushed for a pair of touchdowns. He threw for another. Also, Austin Mayfield, Caden Pace, Femi Babalola, the other quarterback with the TD. Now, what I thought was the game of the week, going in, thought it would be the oldest rivalry in
granddaddy
WCS.
of them all.
It ends up Brentwood hosting Franklin. They get win number 9 in a row over the Admirals, 17-9. They both came in unbeaten in region play. You got to say this about Brentwood. The game was like 10-9 late. What happens? Clayton Merrill, he bobbles the kickoff. Looks like Franklin may pin him deep. What's he do? Gathers himself 67 yards, sets up an eventual touchdown for Gavin Nelson. That was with 2:31 left, and after that, Franklin couldn't really recover. I'll say this about Brentwood. Coach Dennis King used to say it all the time. He said, I've seen it over and over. When it matters, Brentwood comes through at the end. They do in this game. Here's what I thought was interesting. They're playing good defense too. Mason Ball, who had a great game defensively, they only had 1 starter back on defense.
Well,
you want me to pump the brakes on Franklin, didn't you? I picked Franklin.
No.
I was the only person that picked Franklin.
You did.
Mistake, wasn't it?
And it was. However, they're not in it for moral victories. They're close.
They are close.
You talk about winning state championships. I've seen it. We've both seen it. How close you have to have the ball bouncing the right way. You can't have injuries. You got to have all these things work out. You think about that Clayton Merrill return right there. What if they do pin him? What happens? Franklin's close, but they remind me of a team. Brentwood reminds me of a team I used to have to coach against, and you have to beat what's on their chest, and that's hard to do. Bolivar Central, Brentwood High. What's across their chest. They could be mediocre at best, and you still have to beat what's across their chest because they have a swag a little bit about them. Right now, Brentwood owns Franklin. Franklin's knocking on the door. I have to commend Franklin. They're not in for moral victories, but they're close. And like you said, I have to agree with Coach Harrison said, man, it's just when it matters and the chips are on the table, Brentwood's going to be at the table.
They are. They just are. You got to give them credit. And it's lining up. Now, Ravenwood plays Franklin this week, so Franklin's thinking they've got a shot in that game. If Ravenwood holds serve, then it'll be Battle of the Woods, final game of the year. It'll be for the region title. Page, you mentioned, 49-6 win over James Lawson. And you talked about Page. I don't think they were too worried about that. Hey, whatever, the streak was broken. It was going to be broken at some point. 49-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter. I didn't see it, but I've just had visions of like one wobbling and guy accidentally scoring, made it 14-6. What did Page do? That was the end of the first quarter. They responded with 5 second quarter touchdowns.
I don't know if you can get this as a play, but this is what happened, right? You have a senior corner. They run a little fade route. Kid throws a dead duck into the corner. Literally, the corner for Page turns to intercept the ball, and the 6'3", 6'4" receiver reaches over him on one of those plays that he'll all forever play on his huddle account, not showing the final score, nor did they win another game, but they'll show that, yes, it was kind of a fluke, but you know what? You got it off your back, roll on. And I was like you, how do you respond when they first get scored on? How does the team respond? Is it one of those things we're so disappointed it takes us a game to get over it? Is there a hangover effect? Obviously not.
Get this, Knight Wilson, he scored 2 defensive touchdowns. That's good for a team to do it. He did it himself. 27-yard pick six, 32-yard scoop and score, a couple of rushing touchdowns from William Weebush, and your man Mitchell Grandjean with a rushing touchdown.
My guy. I like him.
Nolensville kind of quietly doing their thing. They're still undefeated in region play. They beat Centennial. We went out there for game day. They beat Centennial. They followed up with a win over a traditional power, Hillsboro, not the team they've been, but they take care of business. They're undefeated. Let's face it, they still got to play Page with a chance to win the region. We both think, and most people think, that Page will take care of business. Bottom line is, Nolensville's going to finish second in the region.
Don't sleep on the Knights. I'm telling you right now,
Coach Darrin,
buy or sell, I'm buying them. Hey, look at what happened right here. Even though I think you're surprised with me that they shut out Hillsboro, number one, but they've slowly been going. I tell you what, they've been the games that they have lost, they've been in. It's going to be interesting coming down the stretch to where Nolo can get in this thing and slide. You never know. You never know.
No, you never know.
It's a team that is going to be dangerous here late, and that's exactly where you want to be, my friend, in Week 11.
Well, and they've got a shot. Whoever won that Centennial Nolensville game, the way it was shaping up, I feel like we'll take care of that number 1 seed on the other side, and it'll be matched up with Page again. So when you're playing with house money and you've got them, you just never know what can happen in a game. Coach Derrick does a great job on the defensive side of the ball. QB1, Jack Devers playing great for them. He had a rushing and passing touchdown. The passing touchdown to Oliver Bender gave them a 14-0 lead in the third quarter. They never looked back. Tristan Lith-Maxey, 15 carries, 100 yards. And we mentioned the QB, 19 for 27, 185. He kind of manages the game. Nothing real flashy, but they don't really need it. Give Nolensville 14 points, and they're going to win most games.
That's right. It's almost like an old school SEC game.
It is. It really is. Now, had a couple of yawners. Both went our way. Centennial, 64-0 at Glencliff.
Let me make a point about Centennial real quick before you get too far in this. Be careful. Be very, very careful. When the Cougs come to town late in this postseason, I'm scooting some money in on them. I'm just telling you right now. I think that they're going to have they're extremely as dangerous.
You love Coach Stewart, don't you?
Well, Mallory Lane for me, brother. Listen, Nolensville, talking about buying and selling, we're buying. Centennial, you know what? They've had a few lumps. It's okay. It's okay. Your schedule is not a cakewalk all the way through. They played some good Williamson County teams, obviously. The loss to Franklin might be a little bit. Now that you look back, hindsight, it wasn't a terrible loss.
No.
Nolensville, which we both might have gone 50-50 on, wasn't a terrible loss. You're getting yourself prepared. He's getting his team right. That's going to be a dangerous team.
I 100% agree. Rushing touchdowns by Carlos Vigil, Jalen Drayton in the first quarter. Also Riley Turner, the quarterback, with a touchdown pass to Ethan Cleary. It's 19-0 at the end of the first quarter. They never look back. What a great way to go to fall break. 64-0 win. I thought maybe you're going to bring Independence. They get the first win of the year. 37-0.
There we go.
37-0 over Overton. It's the first win for Independence. It's a region win, which means that border battle at the end of the year probably going to be for playoff spot number 4.
Intern, cue the music. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. The first RIP of the episode today doesn't go to just one team, doesn't go to 2 teams. It actually goes to the entire Metro school football squad, who got outscored 167-6 this week. Rest in peace.
And the only score was the accidental
reach over. In the pro, they probably would have called it offensive interference, but they scored anyways. Thank you, James Lawson, for keeping them legit. But yeah, you look at this, man. Our teams get beat up week in and week out because of the Murder Row schedule. We look at it, we're kind of numb to it. We talk about, hey, you're losing this game, should have won that game, not scoring here. Then they go outside, and we prove the point week in and week out, every single time.
Matthew Horner, QB1, sophomore. 11 carries, 110 yards, had a 3-yard touchdown on the opening drive. They have 5 rushing touchdowns for the game. Horner had the 1. Cole Romine had 2. Max Bauman with 1, and Brody Bullock with 1. Happy for Coach Stidham and the squad, and I'm telling you, they got a chance for the playoffs.
Well, you think about it, it's not good enough yet to write a prescription for, but it was exactly what the doctor prescribed. If they researched online for home remedies, that was it. Schedule Overton or a metro school, get you a dub, get it under your belt. Now, let's build off of it and see what happens next week, or this week rather.
Final game, Fairview 35 at Montgomery Central 21. John Barrick, the quarterback, he's only a sophomore. He had 13 carries, 106 yards. He threw for 84 more. Will Frank, this is not a misprint, by the way, Dr. Qualls, 19 tackles on the defensive side. He's had a bunch of double-digit games.
How many games that Montgomery Central had lost coming into this game?
Well, they'd broken like a 20-something game losing streak when they beat Whites Creek.
Well, their offensive coordinator probably should have said, quit running it to the right. This dude's got 19 tackles. Great job. Which brings us to the second RIP of the week. The offensive coordinator of Montgomery Central. Congratulations. I mean, congratulations to Will Frank for 19 tackles. That's pretty impressive. But I'm glad that Fairview got this win. I was a little concerned about it, honestly. Got to get some things right before we go into playoffs.
Well, they're going to be the WCTV game of the week. Non-region game, 4-3 taking on Nittany. We'll talk about that one in just a bit. Hey, let's talk a little volleyball. Man, a lot of exciting things going on. So you talk about the murderer's row. Volleyball is getting that reputation too. Like Brentwood, Nowensville, we talk about them, the traditional powers, or at least of late. Page, you look back in history, Page has a state title. Fairview's coming on in volleyball in the lower class. Franklin playing really well. Indy, Summit. So you look at that district tournament and go, anybody could win it. When the dust settled, it was 1-2. Nowensville, Brentwood. Nowensville comes through with a 3-1 win over Brentwood, and man, they got a scare in the semis. They were down 2-0 against Franklin. But again, Franklin hadn't really done it of late. They haven't done it. They haven't come through. In terms of the postseason play, Nowensville kind of settles down. They end up winning that thing in 5 sets.
Several things. Take Franklin, take Summit, fill in the blank. Not your traditional tops. If they didn't have to go through Murder's Row and you put them in a state tournament, they probably end up winning the state tournament.
They have a chance.
That is the craziest thing ever. Now, at one point in time, I'd have to go back and check on this, and intern Will can check on that. 11 of 13 in a row came from Williamson County. The only ones that Barbara Campbell didn't win, Independence won one, Ravenwood won back-to-back.
Right.
Now, you think about that. So for 14 or maybe even 15 consecutive years, it came through Wilco. Let's talk about the job that Coach Young has done it.
He's done a great job.
I mean, Coach Young has taken that program and become the powerhouse in the state of Tennessee.
They have.
And a lot of people, Coach Young, are saying they can't make the jump from AA to AAA. He said, watch this drive.
Still unbeaten in district matchups, 34-5 overall. That's the third time they beat.
Congratulations to him.
Let's face it, here's what's going to happen. They're going to play them in the region final, because listen to these region tournament matchups this week at Nowensville. Nowensville takes on Lincoln County. Brentwood takes on Lawrence County. I've got to listen 3.
Unofficial. Listen, nothing against those people. You got out. Congratulations, you won the district, and you get to earn the right to play. It's just, people are going to be dodging balls. That's how bad this is going to be.
Well, people, talk about this. I know sometimes some of our folks, we're all in the same district. And how would you like to be them? They don't even want to be in our region.
They don't even want, they're like, can you please move us? At the end, people can complain about that all they want. It makes us better. It makes us better. It makes us better. The proof is in the pudding. You look at what you talked about earlier in the number of state championships won in the fall. Not done yet. Are you kidding me? You ask the football guys, if you can make it out alive, you're going to have a chance. Volleyball, if you make it out alive, you're going to have a chance. Make it out alive. That's your goal. Make it out alive. Right. And go and conquer the world, man. And iron sharpens iron.
Kyra Knox from Nowensville in that final against Brentwood, she was tournament MVP. She and Taylor Collins both had 13 kills. On the Brentwood side, Daisy Oatsfall with 17 and Eliza McKnight with 14. Again, I mentioned that semifinal.
Oaks
Nolensville. Yeah, hey, and let me tell you something, too. That's Tate's young one. He loves those fall. Great athlete.
Yes.
Obviously, starring in track as well. But he still likes, Tate does, Brentwood with a chance, because what's going to happen? They're going to play 5 times. They're probably going to play in the state final.
You do. And you talk about playing across the chest. No offense to anybody at Brentwood. Barbara Campbell's not walking through the doors, right? So I think Mill Creek Nolensville, he was at Mill Creek at one time. But Nolensville, when they got over that hump, they left that behind. Like,
they did. It's Nolensville right now.
Hey, it's us. That's who you got to beat across the chest, right? So, that's going to be an interesting matchup, how that'll play out. But in the end, when the dust settles, I can promise you this. All in, every chip I got, Williamson County is going to win that volleyball state championship.
No doubt. I agree. Brentwood, in their semifinal, had to overcome Ravenwood in the Battle of the Woods 3-1. I also wanted to mention that Fairview, they advanced to the region tournament, lost to Creekwood in the finals 3-0. That's the hill.
Finals.
That's the hill they're not quite climbing yet.
In the finals, though.
I talked to Coach Butler, or Mr. Butler, about this. I was out there last week, and you look at Fairview, they schedule Page during the regular season, beat them.
Why not? There you go.
Creekwood's probably not, I don't think they'd beat Page, but something about Creekwood, they're just a little, Fairview's got to overcome them. Once they do, they'll be gone.
In the AA Middle Tennessee region, AA rural districts, Creekwood in female sports has always been really, really good. You look at basketball, you look at volleyball, you look at softball.
That's right.
It's just really, really good. I know a few of those folks over there, some Hickman County ties to the Creekwood folks. One of their best players is a high school, mother and father high school graduates from Hickman County. But Fairview being in the region championship game is a huge step, but you got to take that next step, right?
And I think that'll, if you look, they'll end up playing in the finals again there in the region. Same thing in soccer. Fairview advanced to the region tournament. They lost to Sycamore 2-1 in overtime, but you get the sense that they may play again in the final. Now, let's talk about the large class in soccer. District championship at Independence. Page, the number 6 seed. That's 2 straight years number 6 has come out of here. They defeat Franklin, no score in regulation, no score after overtime 1, no score after overtime 2, 6-5 in penalty kicks. Congratulations to Coach Clapp and his squad. What did they do in the tournament? First round, they play number 3 Brentwood at Brentwood. They win 3-2 in overtime. Semifinals, they play Ravenwood, number 2 seed. They win 3-2 to get to the finals. Then they win it. So they beat 3, they beat 2, they beat 1. They earned that title.
When you think about soccer, Coach Burgoyne, you always immediately kind of go there. You start thinking about Brentwood. You think about that. Coach Clapp, always hanging around.
Always.
Always putting himself in position, their team's in position. Congrats to Coach Clapp, man. I mean, I hope he doesn't go overlooked because he's done a really good job at Page on both boys and girls soccer. They're always in the conversation. When I was AD, I unfortunately lost a couple of heartbreakers in the state championships. But right here's a prime example. I don't know if Franklin just kind of lost, I don't want to say they lost interest, but once you're kind of in, sometimes you tend to lose focus a little bit. But, congratulations to Page. Earned it, got it, roll on.
Kara Dickey, sophomore, had the final penalty kick. The goalie, Addison Duggar, the senior, got the final stop. Now, let's talk about the gravity of this win for Page. It was the first loss for Franklin, not only in the district, but for the season. And get this, they had defeated Page 6-0 earlier in the year. Think about that. You go in as the 6th seed, you're playing number 1 in the final. What would make you think that you could come out on top? You've been that's
20 strokes in golf.
That's a butt kicking. And what do? They step back up and win. You got to give it to those young ladies. That's a great win.
I go back to the coaching. What is the philosophy? What are you selling to the kids? What are they buying? That we can play with them. When we coach, we got beat 6-0. Well, maybe we got closer the second time. Maybe you see my point. And then you get on that door, you knock on that door, and you kick it open. Now, it would not surprise me at all if Page goes in and wins the whole thing, just because of the fact that that put him over the edge. But there's a lot of water they have to tread to get to that point between now and then.
Well, I'm excited about how the fall ends up finishing up. We talked about the 2 titles already, the 3 in middle school that we mentioned.
Speaking of Heritage girls on the middle school side, my daughter runs obviously for Thompson Station. At Heritage,
yeah, you told me early.
They're tough.
You told me early on. They're like, watch out for that squad.
Yeah, they're good.
So think about the high school. So we got 2 state titles right now. Football, we know we're going to be in with a shot with a couple. Cross country, probably the favorite in boys and girls with Brentwood. You take a look at volleyball, think we got a shot. Take a look at soccer, think we got a shot. I'm dreaming of big numbers.
This could be a record year. I hope you get it. I think, no reason not to, right? But it's amazing when you start thinking about us as a district and look at other comparable districts that have the same amount of high schools or a little bit more, and where we really float as far as overall athletic achievements. Could be team, could be individual, it could be collegiate scholarships, and even breaking down those collegiate scholarships to Power Fives, how we outperform the national norms, not the state norms, not the private school norms, the national norms every single year is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I know it's something we're all proud of. Now, final segment, let's talk pick'ems. I know you're proud of this. Dr. Qualls, and this may be the first time since I've been AD, you are actually this late in the year, you are leading. You went 7-0 last week along with Tate Matthews and the fans. You're 44-6. Tate and I are 43-7. The fans are 42-8. And remember, fans, keep participating each week. You go to WCSCO Athletics, Dr. Qualls, on X. Make sure you're doing that. Keep participating. Now, picks of the week. I'm going to give you the choice. You want to pick first or second?
It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same results either way. Okay. I wished, our pundit, the pundit's corner is a little down this week. I think we had a miscommunication over fall break, so we're going to have to shoot from the hip on what the pundit's going to say. But anyway, there's some interesting matchups here. That's not exactly that. Some of these are not as easy as it looks.
Well, I'm going to let you pick first.
Okay.
You're the leader. You're going to pick first.
See how
Brentwood, and I say first game. I'll pick first in the second game. Brentwood 6-1. 3-0, non-region matchup at home versus Centennial, 5-2, 2-1. This was a great matchup last year that Brentwood won at the very end. What say you, Dr.
Yeah,
Qualls?
I think the pundit's going to come in on interesting. I think this is a sucker match from a pundit's perspective because I think this is going to be a 6.5 to 13. I know it seems like a big discrepancy. 6.5 to 13.5 point favorite for Brentwood at home against Centennial. Centennial's always dangerous. They are. But not enough danger this week. Brentwood, once again, got to beat what's across their chest. They're at home. In the end, I think that Brentwood wins this. I think it's going to be under the cover of what the pundit's going to put, though.
I agree. It's Brentwood, but like you said, I think it's going to be close. I really do. But I'm going with Brentwood on this one. Fairview versus Independence. It's the WCTV game of the week. It's at Fairview. Fairview coming in 4-3, 2-0 in league play. Independence 1-6, 1-2 in league play. Again, non-region game for both. I think it's close, but I think Independence gets their second consecutive win. Dr. Qualls.
Interesting matchup. I like the fact that we're playing Big Six. If they were 6-1, I don't know that we'd be playing this game. But anyway, we're playing this game. It's tough. It's tough because I'm trying to shoot from the hip here and think what the pundit would say here. I think the pundit's going to give Independence double digits. I think they cover that, and I think they cover it easy.
Wow.
I do.
Dr. Qualls, Independence on a little roll here at the end of the year.
No, I do. I think that the win's going to help them. I think the depth here is going to be a little different. I don't know that Fairview, I haven't seen them play, so all fairness to Coach Hughes and his team, just don't know that they're as good as they've been in the past. And I think Independent's schedule is not showing as good as, they're not as bad as they're projecting. So I think that Independence is a stronger team here.
Nolensville, 5-2, 3-0 in league play. They host the school formerly known as Hillwood. James Lawson, they're 2-5, 0-3. What say you, Dr. Qualls?
I think for the 2 weeks in a row, James Lawson has played Williamson County Schools, and they've scored 6 points, and I think it remains the same. I think Nolensville beats them handily. I think it's probably more than what the pundit will put. Could it be a running clock in Popcorn City? I'd put it on the radar. Not exactly certain, but Nolensville rolls.
I agree. Nolensville wins this one comfortably. Next game, Page, 7-0, 2-0 in the league, hosting Hillsboro, 4-3, 1-1. Page rolls.
Popcorn City by half. Boat race. Put your corn cob in. This thing is they're toast. Page is loaded to bear. Not a good week for Hillsboro to bounce back from a scoreless game last week.
All right, how about this one? Ravenwood, 7-0 and 3-0, hosting Franklin, 4-3, 2-1 big region matchup. What say you, Dr. Qualls?
I think the pundit will have this at 21, which is right there on the cusp of, want to take it? I think it's close for the first 5 minutes. Boat race afterwards, I really do. I think that Ravenwood's entirely too strong, even though I think Franklin's on an upswing, just not this week. They're going to have to probably come back and really reevaluate where they are after this week. I think that Ravenwood and the visor rolls. 101.
I think they win. I don't think it's as comfortable as you think it is, but Ravenwood, too much for Franklin. Ravenwood's just really good. They are. No disrespect to anyone. Look at their schedule. What's lurking? At Oakland and then Brentwood to finish the season.
Interesting point that I didn't take into account. Could this be a trap game? Could the Addies come out? I'm not going to go back on my pick, but I will go back on the pundits' covering of this, and I think this could be possibly makings for a little closer score than advertised.
Agreed. Final game, Summit 1-6, 0-3 in the league versus Overton 2-5, 0-3 in the league. Just what the doctor ordered, in my opinion. Summit gets well. They're getting healed up a little bit. They still have some tough injuries. They take care of business with Overton. It'll set up a final game, final week of the season with Independence in the border battle. Winner will go to the playoffs. And if you get in, you never know.
And you know what? That's something you won't, as somebody in your position of that rival game, what more could you possibly want?
And it means something.
Old Sparty, Coach Coleman gets their second win, sets up the border battle. Would you want me to predict that one too?
Sure.
No, I'm not.
Since you may not be here.
I'm going to stay away from that one. That's a great finish. You couldn't script that any better. Hey, all the marbles on the table. Throw the records out for the year. Winner advances with an absolute opportunity to win a first-round game.
Like you said earlier.
Are you prolonging the inevitable? That's irrelevant. But you got a chance to win.
But we've said it in football so many times here. Just make it.
Just make it. Get out.
Once you make it, never know.
Got a chance.
Dr. Qualls, another great week. Appreciate you being here. The time that went by quickly. Appreciate you subbing in.
Anytime to make ears bleed in Gallatin, I'd love to do it.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.